Guys, welcome and take back with another one for you. And we're going back to Ireland. This one is called 1798 and After the United Irishmen. So let's go ahead and check this out and see because a lot of people, when they talk about the Irish culture here, there seem to have been a lot of different clans and not a whole lot of unity. So, the United Irishmen, let's see what that's all about. Let's YouTube and simmer.
Come all ye loyal orange men and in folk chorus join. Think on the deeds of William and his conquest at the Boyne, and gratefully commemorate that ever glorious day that crowned a mighty hero king and ended popish way.
When King William defeated King James at the Battle of the Boyne, Britain was now firmly in control of Ireland. The whole island was now part of the British Empire, on which, they said, the sun never set. Ireland was one of the first British colonies, and it remained part of the British Empire for nearly 400 years.
Wow.
If you look at a map from the time, you can see just how many countries Britain actually ruled. They're all in pink. Today, the British Empire is gone, and the countries that it ruled are now independent. Some, like America, fought for their independence, while others had independence granted to them. So what happened to the colony of Ireland? Well, today, Ireland is divided into two parts. Northern Ireland, which is still governed by Britain, and the Republic of Ireland, which is independent. And we're going to find out how that happened.
Okay, all right.
Back in the 18th century, the penal laws denied both Presbyterians and Catholics many civil rights and kept the Catholic population under control. It seemed as if Protestants had everything their own way. Well, some of them did.
Come on, don't you come by here again.
Protestants were divided into two camps. The established church, or Church of Ireland, who were Anglican, and the dissenters, who were Presbyterians.
Okay, so that explains why there's Anglicans and Presbyterians on the island. There's even a Presbyterian high school down there. My grandfather was Anglican. Crazy.
We Presbyterians cannot be magistrates or even postmen.
Only those in the established church, the wealthy landowners and the bishops, sat in the Irish Parliament in Dublin.
Of idolatry.
The landed gentry in the Irish Parliament didn't have things all their own way. Being part of the British Empire, they lived under British law. These laws were designed to control Irish trade, to stop Irish goods competing with those of England. The Irish export wool trade was ruined by these laws. In Ulster, it was the plant with the blue flower that saved the day. The harsh restrictions on the Irish wool trade led to the growth of linen, especially in the north of Ireland. They grew flax, retted it, scotched it, hackled it, spun, wove and bleached it. It was a lengthy process. It was the Huguenot refugees, Protestants fleeing from Catholic France, who brought new life, new ideas and changed the linen trade in Ulster. They introduced intricate cards that patterned the linen cloth, kind of like an early computer.
You know what that tells me there? People fight immigration and migration so much, but it seems like a lot of people, a lot of places have certain things because of that immigration, because of that migration. That's why you have certain things, and regardless of the person's color or nationality, you should welcome and show them gratitude for their contribution to the way the culture is today. Because if that wasn't happening through time, we wouldn't be where we are today, moving ahead like that. We wouldn't. We just wouldn't.
Merchants grew rich selling linen. With better roads and new canals, they could easily transport produce from the middle of Ulster into the centre of Belfast. But for the workers in town and country, it was grim. The work was endless. But they were better off than the peasants who lived in the rest of Ireland. The structure of society was very unbalanced. Very few people owned the land that they farmed. There was a huge gap between the landowners and the next level down, the tenant farmers, who worked their land and paid them rent. And below that, there were subtenants, cottiers and labourers who were very poor indeed. A whole family would have lived in a wee house just like this. Farming practices had improved.
You know, and people probably want to say that's because of the cause is laziness, not taking into consideration all the extenuating circumstances that's around it, that's happening. Like, I look at poor people here, and sometimes I get the thing, and it's like, listen, man, the college is right down the street. If you really want to go and see what you could do for yourself, the university's right there. But they seem to think they don't need that to move ahead. It's just they just want to work and live a good life, you know what I mean, and then work for their whole lives. And I'm talking about young people. Older people, they teach the younger people that. And I could tell stories, but you know, I'm not going to. But yeah, it's crazy how that is. Let's now get back to the
There were better
video.
crops, fatter cattle, fatter sheep. But the more money the tenant farmers made, the more rent the landowners demanded. And no matter what your religion, you had to pay a tax called a tithe to the Church of Ireland. The landowners and the churchmen lived off the fat of the land.
The people,
Oh, what a lovely thing to be an Anglican bishop or minister. These are the spoilt children of fortune, rich as bankers, enjoying good wine, good cheer, pretty women, and all that for their benediction. God bless them. Nonsense and wine have flowed in plenty. Gigantic saddles of mutton and huge rumps of beef way down on the table. Bumpers of claret and bowls of white wine were perpetually under my nose.
For many Presbyterians, things were becoming too much. For them, grinding poverty, bad harvests, greedy landlords and English ingratitude left no prospect of a decent existence. Would they have a better chance across the Atlantic in America?
Sarah, on Sunday last, sailed from Larne for Charleston in the Lord Dunluce. The Reverend William Martin and near 400 other passengers, all in high spirits.
They had heard from people who had gone over there that they could get good land of their own.
What a sea, Sam!
They would be free from the Anglican Church. It would be a place where they could make their own laws, bring up their children and make money.
Let us be free.
see that I didn't know. I didn't know the Anglican Church was part of the oppressive culture over there. I'll be honest, I don't know much about the Anglican Church at all. I'm from a predominantly Catholic country, so I would love to find out how the Anglicans, well, we know how they ended up there, but you know, when did they start being there? Especially living alongside the Catholics who obviously was persecuted in Ireland. That's crazy. Don't think of the Catholic Church as being as prosecuted, huh?
Free from these pharaohs,
Persecuted.
these wreckers of rent and screwers of titles, and let us go on to the land of Canaan. For we are the Lord's own people, and he shall divide the ocean before us.
They took the chance, sometimes 10,000 in a single year, and headed out west with their muskets, Bibles, ploughs, and seed potatoes. They got their land, the freedom to worship, and a share in the government. They were reckless and ferocious fighters in the Indian Wars. In 1763, when the American colonies were still under English control, a notorious band of Scotch-Irish called the Paxton Boys massacred a large tribe of Indians who were sheltering near Harrisburg.
They fell on their knees and protested their innocence, declared their love for England, and that in their whole lives they had never done them an injury. And in that position, they all received the hatchet. Men, women, and little children were each one inhumanly murdered in cold blood.
When George Washington led the American colonies in revolt against English rule, it was the Ulster Presbyterians who formed the backbone of his army. They helped draft the Declaration of Independence and a new constitution. They set up a new form of government, a democratic system. The new ideas of democracy, of men being free, being equal, being brothers, spread like wildfire from America, from England, Scotland, France and Holland. Just as one revolution was over, another revolution began. Only this time it was closer to home. This time it was in Europe. In 1789, the French people rose up against their rulers and set up a government for all the people. The kingdom became a republic, and every citizen was to share in the wealth of the country. They believed in liberty, equality, and fraternity. In Ireland, especially in Ulster, these ideas inspired many people, both Catholic and Protestant. They wanted to become as free as the French and the Americans. They became republicans. Not all Protestants and Catholics believed in these new ideas. There was a continuing struggle for land, which expressed itself in sectarian fighting between rival gangs of Protestants and Catholics.
Wow. This is 1700, they were fighting then.
The Protestant People Day Boys and the Catholic Defenders intimidated everyone.
In October 1791, in Jonesboro, County Armagh, a Presbyterian schoolmaster and his family were attacked by a body of hellhounds. They rushed in, and not content with cutting him and stabbing him in several places, they drew a cord around his neck and forced his tongue out. They cut it off, and 3 fingers of his right hand.
It all came to a head in Ulster when the Catholic Defenders met the Protestant People Day Boys at the Diamond near Loughgall, County Armagh. Immediately after their victory, the People Day Boys marched into Loughgall, and in the house of James Sloane, they founded the Orange Order. It was supported by the church, and with its rituals and paraphernalia, continues to this day. Later that same year, over 7,000 Catholics were driven out of Armagh. Although there were people fighting in the countryside, back in Belfast, a few citizens worked to unite Irish people, both Protestant and Catholic. They kept in touch with revolutionary France and celebrated Bastille Day. They were inspired by a fiery young Belfast man, Henry Joy McCracken. His sister was the formidable Mary Ann McCracken.
Mary Ann McCracken was born in 1770. Her father was a sea captain. She ran a successful muslin shop with her sister Margaret in Belfast. She enthusiastically supported the United Irishmen, and they often met in her house. She was madly in love with Thomas Russell. When her brother Henry Joy was arrested, she disguised him as a carpenter and bought his passage to America. She spent most of her life campaigning for better conditions for the poor and a better education for orphans.
Wow, that's
She
cool.
died in 1866, aged 96.
Wow, lived a
I,
long time.
James Porter, minister of the gospel in the presence of God, do pledge myself to my country. That I will use
In 1791, a radical organisation called the United Irishmen was founded in Belfast and Dublin. They demanded independence from Britain. They wanted a fair government for all Irish people.
a communion of rights.
A Dublin lawyer called Wolfe Tone joined them and soon became the leading light of the United Irishmen.
My aim is to break the connection between England and win independence. To do this, we must forget our past differences and replace the words Protestant and Catholic with the one name, Irish.
Theobald Wolfe Tone was born in Dublin in 1763. His father was a coachmaker from County Kildare. Wolfe Tone was educated at Trinity College Dublin and became a lawyer. But he didn't like the life of a lawyer and began to earn a living writing pamphlets. He helped to found the Society of United Irishmen. In 1794, he became a revolutionary. He went to France, where he was made a French officer. But in 1798, he was taken prisoner on a French ship in Lough Swilly and was sentenced to death. His request to be shot like a soldier was refused, and he committed suicide in prison, aged 35. He is regarded as the first Irish Republican.
In 1794, the government banned the United Irishmen because their links with the French revolutionaries terrified them. The United Irishmen became a secret revolutionary group and pledged to set up a republican government for Ireland, its secrets bound by oaths.
Are you straight?
I am straight.
How straight are ye?
Now straight as a rush.
What have ye in your hand?
A green bar.
Where did it first take root?
In America.
Where did it flourish?
In France.
Where are you going to plant it?
In the crown of Great Britain.
At first, their methods were peaceful. But by 1795, the United Irishmen were beginning to think of themselves as soldiers. They hoped they'd get help from France. But France was at war with every country in Europe, including Britain. So any Irishman supporting France was classed as a traitor. Wolfe Tone was caught talking to a French spy in Dublin and was exiled to America. Then he went to France. There he managed to get French support for the rebellion and set sail for Bantry Bay with a small French invasion force. The sight of the French Navy in Bantry Bay shocked the British government. The enemy was at the back door again. The British government's efficient intelligence service went into operation. Informers infiltrated the movement and spies hounded the Irishmen. The local yeomanry, who were mainly Protestant, searched for hidden weapons. The leaders were arrested and their houses sometimes burnt. Some were flogged in public.
I saw Samuel Crawford of Ballymena receive 500 lashes.
Whoa!
The only words that he could speak during that time were, "Gentlemen, be pleased to shoot me."
The United Irishmen grew
500.
stronger, not weaker. They stockpiled weapons and looted army stores in Belfast. Although many Protestants joined the side of the English crown, the numbers of United Irishmen grew. All over the country they began to organise a general rebellion. On the 23rd of May, 1798, the rebellion began in Kildare. Then it spread to Meath, Carlow and Wicklow, and then to Wexford. The sheer numbers of peasantry in rebellion ensured its early success. In some areas, mail coaches were held up and prisons were taken over. But people had rebelled in different parts of the country for different reasons. Not all fought for the idealist cause of the United Irishmen. Whatever the reasons, the early victory in the south spurred the United Irishmen in the north to action.
See, all it takes is one. It just takes one group of people to stand up. It's that is so hard to do anymore because there's just so many different things. It's so So many different people with different opinions that they're just shoving down everybody's throat. We just have to break it all down and just be human and try to figure it out from there. Because of every ism or religion or belief system or conspiracy theory that's out there, people don't know what to think anymore. People are confused. I talk to people every day and I could tell a lot of them is just confused. They don't know how to deal with all that confusion around them. It's crazy.
Under Henry Joy McCracken, the Belfast men marched into Antrim to attack the garrison. The promised French troops didn't arrive. They were on their own, and the United Irishmen marched to the strains of the French revolutionary anthem, La Marseillaise.
Forward, quick, march!
These were the first Irish nationalists. They were inspired by the ideas of the Americans, and they fought for more power for the Dublin Parliament. Most of them were Protestants, and at the forefront of the movement were the Ulster Presbyterians. Ulster Presbyterians fighting for a republic. Try telling that to today's politicians.
An Ulsterman I am proud to be, from the Antrim glens I come. And although I've laboured by the sea, I have followed flag and drum. I have heard the martial tramp of men, I've seen them fight and die. How well do I remember when I followed Henry Joy. The boys were out and the redcoats too. I'd kissed my wife goodbye, and in the shade of a greenwood glade, sure I followed Henry Joy.
In next week's programme, we'll look at the effects of the 1798 rebellion.
See, the cool thing about music back then, they tell stories about struggles that are going on. Some music still tell it now, but it's not as poignant or poignantly put as it was. It's a beautiful story with a beautiful song. Not portraying all that anger and stuff, just telling the story. This is what happened. I'll leave a link in the description for this video. I'll also leave links to other videos that I've reacted on Ireland. Y'all could, go check it out and thing. You guys are having a really good day, man. Y'all take care of each other, alright? Cool runnings.